All right, so today we're not just going to talk about basketball as a game. We're going to look at it as something, well, something much stranger, much older. We're talking about basketball as a secret cosmic loop.
So I want you to forget everything you think you know for a second. Points, rebounds, assists, all the usual stats. What if the game itself is alive? A single eternal process that's constantly eating itself and being reborn, all at the same time. And the key to this whole idea, it's this ancient symbol right here, the Ouroboros. You've probably seen it before, a serpent eating its own tail. It's a powerful symbol of infinity, of a closed loop where the end is always the beginning. And that's the lens we're going to use to see the game today. Because what if the Ouroboros isn't just a cool metaphor for basketball? What if it's the game's hidden operating system? Okay, let's dive into this.
First things first, before we can see this loop in motion, we have to map out the arena. We need to understand the court itself, what this framework calls the static, unchanging body of the serpent.
Think of it like this. The court is a closed system. It's like a totally sealed box. The energy inside, and in this case, energy as possession of the ball, it's never lost. It never disappears. It just cycles endlessly between two states. Offense, which is trying to create order by scoring, and defense, which is trying to create chaos and disruption. And this is what makes basketball so unique, right? Think about football. It's a series of separate plays: stop, start, reset. But basketball? It's a continuous, fluid flow. That moment of transition from offense to defense is just as important as the shot itself. The serpent literally never stops moving. But here's the cool part. All of this fluid, flowing action, it's all built on this incredibly rigid skeleton. The rim is always 10 feet high. The shot clock is always 24 seconds. These numbers, these geometries, they don't change. They are the unyielding bones of the serpent, giving shape to its constant chaotic motion. All right, so we've got the court down. Now, what about the players? This framework argues that our old ideas, point guard, center, forward, they're basically obsolete. Instead, it redefines players by their actual function inside the loop. Think of them as the individual scales on the serpent's body. First up, you've got the heliocentric creator. Fancy term, right? But what it really means is, this is the player who is the system. The entire offense revolves around them, just like the planets revolve around the sun. They are a self-contained engine for creating points. And you can see these guys in the data clear as day. Their usage rates are massive, over 30%, and they have incredibly high assist percentages. We're talking about players like Luka Doncic or a prime James Harden. But here's the risk. When you rely on one player that much, the rest of the team can start to, well, atrophy. They can become totally dependent. So what's really fascinating here is that this gives us a whole new language for team building. It's not about filling positions anymore, it's about combining functions. You've got your heliocentric stars, sure, but then you need a connector like Draymond Green to make everything flow, a defensive anchor like Rudy Gobert to stabilize the system, an adaptive 3-and-D wing, and then the unicorn, an anomaly like Victor Wembanyama who kind of breaks all the rules. Okay, so we've got the arena, we've got the players redefined, now we can finally see this thing in motion. This is the heart of it all, the flow of the game, where the serpent is constantly, relentlessly consuming itself. And every single possession, it's this perfect 3-beat rhythm. First, there's initiation. You get the ball, the serpent's head turns. Then there's the action, a shot, a turnover, whatever. The serpent X. And then instantly, you have the polarity flip. Offense becomes defense in a flash. The serpent bites its own tail, and the whole process starts over, completely unbroken. And these two sides of the loop, they're perfect opposites, but they're part of the same creature. Offense is the serpent biting down, trying to impose order and score. Defense is the serpent coiling up, trying to introduce chaos and disrupt everything. Two totally different goals, but they're part of the same single entity. So what's the engine that powers this whole loop? Well, it's this amazing tension, a constant tug of war between what we can measure and what we can only feel, the known versus the unknown. On one side, you have the cold, hard data. The analytics revolution, right? We know with absolute mathematical certainty that a corner three-pointer is a way, way better shot than a long two. And this chart right here is exactly why teams hunt for those shots relentlessly. It's just smart math. But then you have the other side, the unknown. For decades, statisticians told us the hot hand was a myth, just a trick of our brains. But guess what? Recent research shows it's a real biological thing. It's where the magic starts to bleed into the math. Now, there's a wild scientific name for this: transient hypofrontality. But all that really means is that the part of your brain that thinks, doubts, and worries just gets quiet. It's the flow state. It's the zone. And here's the crucial takeaway: both the spreadsheet and the magic are real. And it's the tension between them that fuels this entire loop. So, all of this, it's building to one thing: the ultimate goal. What happens when this loop is perfected, even for just a little while? Well, that's what this framework calls the championship singularity. And that goal has a name: the radiant chomp. It's that singular moment when the serpent consumes its tail, not just mechanically, but perfectly. It's a flash of total unity, when a team transcends its individual players and becomes one flawless, flowing system. And this is where it all clicks. As the source text puts it, the serpent is not a thing, but a doing. It is the flow between them. That's the whole key. A championship team isn't just about having the best players. It's about achieving the most perfect process, the most seamless flow between them. And if you want to see what this looks like in the real world, look no further than the 2014 San Antonio Spurs. They didn't really have a single dominant superstar, but their ball movement, their collective basketball mind was so perfect, they absolutely dismantled a Miami Heat team led by LeBron James. That was total unity. That was the radiant chomp. But here's the thing about a loop: it never truly ends. The buzzer sounds, a trophy is lifted, and then the serpent begins to eat its tail all over again. The cycle restarts. So the question this leaves us with is, what's the next evolution of this eternal loop? And what will the next radiant chomp even look like?